So, I know nothing about love, and that's a bit of a problem, especially since the season of romance is in the air. So, I thought I'd ask the most knowledgeable and romance versed people I know, artists who live alone. To answer this question, I asked all of my friends individually what they thought love was, and you get to hear that when you see them. But to cut it short, I concluded that what better way to show what love means by throwing all of my friends into the ring and making them fight it out with their very own Cupids. And so, there are two teams, Team Attraction and Team Repulsion. Attraction representing all the healthy aspects of love, and repulsion representing the more toxic elements of it. So my friends needed to choose a team and make a Cupid with any aspect of love of their choice, because I wanted to give them as much creative freedom as possible. The winning team gets one whole smooch from me and a Hatsune Miku figurine.
Is that fucking Hatsune Miku?
Oh my god, is that fucking Hatsune Miku?
Oh my god, that's Hatsune Miku. That's...
And with that, we can get started.
I think love is a goal all humans strive to get in some way.
Obsession. Probably one of the most toxic aspects of love. I guess it makes it ironic that I'm on Team Attraction, huh? This design was tricky, to say the least. I originally thought to go the classic route and do your average obsessed schoolgirl yandere, but that was too easy. I decided to incorporate a lot of eyes into my Cupid's design. Mainly because I think for an obsessive Cupid, she'd probably always want to keep her eyes on you. That idea also got me to decide the weapon. A rifle, or whatever that weapon is, would need you to constantly watch over your target, to obsess over them. If you blink or let them leave your mind for a moment, your desired figure might just run away. I think obsession is also something that gets not only the person you're obsessing over hurt, but yourself. It can drive you to do some crazy things for your POI, so I decided to cover her in bandages, tear her tights a little, and even put a couple scars on the hands on her face. Speaking of which, whose hands are those? Oh well, let's just move on to the next Cupid before we obsess over that. So keep making OCs and stay toothy. Bye-bye.
I don't know. Probably that feeling you get when you eat chocolate.
For my aspect, I chose obsession. And the first thing that came to my mind from obsession was chains and locks, so I themed a character around that. I started off by making a bunch of concept ideas to test out how different ideas would look and what would work the best. I was originally gonna give the character a skirt that had a part of it missing to show the petticoat underneath, which kinda looks like a birdcage, but I tend to give a lot of my character design skirts, so I decided just to give her bloomers for change. I still wanted to keep the birdcage idea, so I give her this completely useless partial petticoat situation thing. I don't know what it is, to be honest. I wanted the design to have a lot of sharp shapes and wanted it to be quite unsymmetrical. For the hair, I took inspiration from the 2023 Magical Mirai Miku, since I thought it would fit the design, and would tie the upper part of her design to the rest, since there's a lot of chains. I tried not to go overboard with the hearts, to still keep it in the theme of chains and locks, but I made her handcuffed heart shape, gave her wings a heart silhouette, and put a few small broken heart details on her design. I didn't change much from the concept sketch to the proper drawing, but I did change the broken heart from her pew pew to a key. I barely ever draw wings, so I really struggle with them, so I just winged it. Haha, do you get it? I winged it. I winged the wings. I'm so funny. Anyways, then it was just time for me to do a little bit of rendering, and ta-da! Here's the Cupid of Obsession.
So, I think love is one of those things that you can never truly understand. Like, no matter how much you love someone, it will never be the same way that someone else does, and I think that makes it really special.
Yoo-hoo! I was very excited to be invited to this collab. Everyone knows that art is the best way to celebrate Valentine's Day because the L in love stands for line art. So I was on Team Attraction and I knew that I wanted to explore some more ancient interpretations of love. I decided to go with Plato's Symposium and more specifically Aristophanes' Story of the Halves. The plan was simple. I had to chop them in half. Design-wise, I sort of knew where I wanted to go, but I wasn't too sure how I was going to get there. It worked out, but it certainly was a journey. I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. I just kept throwing in details everywhere, hearts everywhere that I could find a place to put them. I kept everything looking ancient. I gave them a chitin to wear, and I tried incorporating spiral patterns like the kind that you would see in ancient Greek vases. By the time that it got to designing the weapon, I was a little bit lost for what to go for. Originally I thought maybe a cannon. I realized very quickly that that was a terrible idea. So in the end, I decided to go for a double-barrel sawed-off shotgun, which I thought would provide some interesting contrast with the rest of the theme. So now for the final reveal, here is my Cupid of Yearning. Maybe if Sierra is really nice, she can add some close-ups, pretty please?
I think the true love is when you fart and your partner farts back even louder. That's the real true love.
Oh, Valentine's Day, what a happy holiday! If you're not a lonely no-lifer, be intent from the light of your computer screen. But don't be sad, little cookie. Imagine how much money you save on not buying dead flowers and pink piece of tree skin. No hearts, but lots of pluses. Longing. What a feeling. A strong desire to play computer games the whole day while doing important work. I mean longing to see someone and hug and kiss and... Blech. What an awful feeling. I hate it. My brain must work at 110%. Imagine constantly thinking about something other than my cat. I came here to show you how absolutely repulsive it is. And when Hatsune Miku figure? It is mine! I wanted to create something to traumatize Sierra's audience at first, but... yeah. Beautiful girls is the way. I spent hours refining the base. As I said, my Cupid represents longing. A dreamy young girl fully submerged into her flowery fantasies about someone. She's so far away into her dreams, she doesn't notice her ragged dress and bloody wounds anymore. I personally associate this feeling with the word tight. That's why some elements were made to squeeze her body as much as possible. Imagine the feeling of a heart beating in your stomach or the voice wanting to escape your lips. Suddenly, it feels like there is not enough space inside of you and the pressure keeps on rising. When a piercing arrow of the Cupid reaches its target, it is extremely hard to get rid of it. When an arrow is used, the new one grows inside of her. No need for a quiver, formed with the pain to cause it to the victim.
Love. Love is but a selfless act, giving without expecting anything in return, giving your support, giving your trust, giving your soul, giving your most valuable possessions, giving your credit card number, expiration date, and 3 digits on the back, giving your kidneys, giving... Wait, what was the question again?
My Cupid represents the aspect of selfless love. Since the beginning, I thought it could be so much fun to design a bard character who serenades and is constantly praising the object of his infatuation. He would go lengths to show his love and appreciation for you, putting you above anything else and doing whatever it takes to make you happy. So basically, he's the patron of simps. For the outfit, I didn't really have to think much about it. I went with a typical bard costume, but like Valentine's theme. I tried to incorporate as many heart-shaped elements in the design. Apart from the visible heart patterns on his outfit, I also add many heart-shaped silhouettes, like his wings or his facial hair. For the weapon, I thought instead of a traditional one, I could give him a magical musical instrument that suits enchanted notes with charm anyone that hears them. Now, I only needed to find an instrument that could be fitting for a weapon. And what instrument is more painful than the recorder? Anyways, here's my Cupid. Not the most threatening, nor the most alluring. But he sure is a silly guy.
Sign here, and here, and here. Love.
Well, in Section A, love, as a terminology, is defined as...
You're about to hear every piece of spit and saliva in my mouth. I am ill. I am so sorry, but you know what? Welcome to the ASMR experience, kids. Hello everyone, Dee Dixologii here. Slightly sick, but you know what? I'm just gonna wing it. You get it? Because Cupids and winging it. So I chose to be part of Team Repulsion in the form of contractual love, which in short is a form of love where you're only given it when you do something / behave a certain way for someone. When deciding how to approach this design, I wanted to do something that wasn't too traumatic. I'm not asking to trauma dump on a main over here. So I thought, hey, contracts. You know, who else signs and gives out contracts to people? Lawyers. So I decided to do a dramatic lawyer style Cupid. I had a lot of fun making these things, like these ruffles and blazers and this bird cage skirt that was massive and honestly a little bit tedious to draw, but it made this crazy silhouette that I'm obsessed with, so it was fully worth it. I also made these little creatures called prosecutors, you know, because lawyers, courtroom, you get it, because lawyers, right? Yeah, I'm funny. I call them my prosecutees. So for a weapon, I decided to give her just a massive inkwell quill pen, because, you know, lawyers, contracts, signing, that she'd just like throw like a spear and be like, hey you sign this, yeet. I just thought it'd be funny, and honestly, it was, so I'm so smart. All in all, I'm happy to say I'm very pleased with how this piece turned out. It was a bit over the top, but in fairness, where is anything I make not over the top nowadays? So I ask you this, dear viewer, would you sign the contract? Okay, I'm gonna go continue being ill now. Bye!
I think love is when instead of that italicized oh moment, it's a goddamn it could have been anyone else moment.
Hi, I'm on Team Attraction, and my Cupid represents the aspect of unrequited love, which I thought was an excellent concept until I had to figure out where to start designing. Now, when you lack ideas, naturally your first resort is Wikipedia. Or maybe that's just me. Anyways, after scouring many a Wikipedia article about Aphrodite and Cupid and flower meanings, none of which I ended up using, and so on and so forth, I found a neat little bird called a bleeding heart dove, which fit my concept beautifully. Because, after all, what does unrequited love do if not make your heart bleed? Most of the design was heavily inspired by this dove, but I also sprinkled in some Roman-esque clothing, since Cupid is the Roman deity of love and attraction. For a weapon, I chose the classic bow, but with a caveat of having arrows that are half gold to cause desire and half lead to cause aversion, which happens to also be stolen directly from Roman mythology. Also, the blindfold and bound wings are meant to symbolize the whole love is blind and kind of helpless shtick, which I hope comes across at least a little bit. Overall, I'm pretty proud of the design. I do kinda wish I came up with something more entertaining, but I'll leave that job to the recorder wielders of us.
I think love is a lie made by the government to sell more weddings. It's made up. It's not real. They just want to pump those numbers. More wedding rings, more venues. Those wedding planners, they're lying to you. They're not real.
For my Cupid, I have decided to create a toxic love Cupid. Listen, I know it's vague, but when I decided to join Team Repulsion, I wasn't quite sure what aspect of love I wanted to go with, but what I did know was what weapon I wanted to give to my Cupid. It was simple. It was genius. It was love bombing. I don't think this is the video to go too into it, but basically, love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation. So having a Cupid whose weapon is literally a weaponized version of love was perfect for me. Toxic relationships can be many things. They can be dangerous, controlling, unhealthy, or all of the above. And I wanted to reflect these in the character's design. For the design, I gave my Cupid a gas mask to be protected not only from their own toxicity, but as a way to hide their insecurities from the world. As toxicity in relationships can form from self-esteem issues, but can also lead to them. Their hair was inspired heavily by the biohazard symbol, which is just why it looks so pointy. Now, their clothing was originally based off old soldier uniforms, but it very quickly led to just being a ripoff of Pav from Fear and Hunger Termina, which, whoopsies! In my defense, I just wanted to give this guy some cleavage. Back to the design, I decided to then give my Cupid skeleton wings, as usually toxicity in relationships lead to their death. Also, it just looked sick. Overall though, I am super happy with my Cupid design. Team Repulsion, Team Repulsion, Team Repulsion, Team Repulsion.
I think love is something that can be represented in many forms. I think there's romance love, but there's also platonic love. And you can also, I guess, consider romance with more than one person if that's something people are interested in. Because you get a lot of, there's a lot of people who have more than one partner. But then you also have, people who just don't have any partner, but they have, their friends. And I guess that kind of counts too. So I guess love just comes in many forms, in my opinion.
Hello and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Unless you're on Team Repulsion, then, fuck off. If you couldn't tell, I chose to be on Team Attraction. I was thinking of the kind of love I wanted to explore, and decided to use the aspect of soulmates, and used the red string theory as the main source of inspiration. The red string theory, also known as the red thread of fate, originated in China, although there is a depiction of it in Japan as well. They are very similar with minor differences of where the thread is tied to, although I think nowadays it's common across both cultures to just depict it being tied around the fingers. I really wanted to look into the Chinese aspect of the legend for my design, because that's where it originated. And I gave her a mask because I thought it added a lot more to her design, and I kind of wanted to keep her kind of appearance more mysterious, I guess. I looked up a lot of clothes related to Hanfu, which is the traditional Chinese clothing, and I stuck with a lot of pinks and reds for my colors. For her weapon, I decided to use the strings as the weapon. I imagine her being able to shoot them out from her hands and kind of really pulling them together to kind of form one string, or maybe even tie them together to kind of connect into one. I also added this heart-shaped hairpin along with some other jewelry that I found online when looking up different types of Chinese jewelry or people in China that are wearing jewelry, and thought it would help the design pop more if I added some of that. Speaking of which, I popped off on these wings. I think I was so proud of those the most. They really tied the design together. Overall, I'm really happy with how the design came out. I think it's always fun to design characters and see where you go from the concept to the final product. And I feel like I got to learn a little bit more about Chinese culture. Anyways, on to the next Cupid.
I think love is whatever mantises have going on, biting the heads off the guy.
Hey, howdy, I'm FrizzMcwizz and I'm on Team Repulsion. And with my Cupid, I decided to go with catfishing, also with a mix of insecurity. Now, my original idea for this character was gonna be some type of mask dealer that will give you a new identity to hide behind, say catfishing online. But then I thought it would be more fun to take the term literally and have the character be a fisherman. And that's exactly what I did. I turned this catfisher into a literal catfisher. So he has a cute little cat mask, cute little fisherman outfit, and also his Cupid weapon is a fishing rod. I even gave him a cute little scarf where the knot is a broken heart, using the wrinkle to, make it look broken. And I honestly think that was really cute. I also really wanted to pay attention and make him look innocent because he's also catfishing you with his personality. Bro is evil. Anyways, that's my Cupid.
So I was on Team Attraction, and I had the aspect of true love. So I already had an idea about what I wanted my Cupid to look like very early on. The moment that I knew I was on Team Attraction, I sort of already had the idea in my head. And I knew I wanted to go for something a little more modern, very bright, very pink, very, maybe even a little Y2K as well. A little bit of everything, really. She didn't end up changing much from my initial idea, but I did want to give her different outfit iterations just because she's the kind of girly girly that does change her clothes around a lot. I also made a little bit of a story for her where in my head I'm thinking because she's the Cupid of true love, she takes a lot of time in choosing her targets, so she barely meets monthly quotas because of this. I wanted her to be representative of the healthy aspects of finding love in this day and age, and parts of her design I guess sort of facet into that, like how she's very forthcoming about how she's feeling and how she wears all her emotions on her face, which aligns with how I think in order to have healthy relationships it's always good to talk about how you feel with someone else. And with the whole taking her time to choose who she's gonna shoot with her true love bullet, I think that definitely ties into it's good to take your time when choosing your partner as well. All in all, I just wanted to have a lot of fun with her and to also just show the positive aspects of romance. I love making her, she's so bright. I think she's definitely a character that I will keep in my roster and maybe you'll see her around a little more. Now, onto the next Cupid.
You know, throughout the years, many philosophers have debated what love is, but when it boils down to it, love is sharing a life insurance policy. So then when the other person is gone, you can live on. That's true love.
Hey there, how's it going? Here is my Cupid, or at least the speed paint of it. So, my Cupid is a bit of a goober, a bit of a silly guy. I'm on Team Repulsion, and so I chose the element of attachment. Now, my character is not repulsive. They're a silly little creature. She's a funny guy, you know? She's so silly. I wanted to go with attachment because I thought attachment would be really funny if I made it teeth. And so I themed her around teeth because when you attach to something, you can bite it. And so like a remora or a leech, some kind of biting animal. And so I went with that. I thought, okay, teeth will be really funny of a theme to go with. So you can see that the detailing was a bit tricky. I went with a kind of graphic novel-y type of line art because I really enjoy that heavy dark value type of thing. But it was pretty tricky to make. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. It was a very silly character to make. Figuring out the anatomy of the teeth, for example. Oh, so much fun. But here is my silly little girl, my funny creature, my Cupid. Anyways, on to the next person. Unless I'm the last person, in which case, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll figure it out. Alright, adios.
Wow, you guys did not miss the mark. I suppose with that, after much deliberating, the winning team is... Actually, I can't decide. They're all beautiful, amazing designs, so you guys figure it out on your own.
Oh my god, that's